Years ago, I did a tax return for a young man, first job he ever had. He made about $50,000 and he was self-employed, and he was a contractor for an offshore drilling company. So he come in to get his tax return done, and somebody else had looked at it, and apparently he was going to owe $1,500 to $2,000. I said, well, let me see what you got. So I took it and started asking him questions about his expenses so we could get his gross income down. Well, it turns out he had to really strain, but he came up with a lot of expenses. So instead of owing $2,000, I got him a $5,000 refund. He was happy about that. So it's a big difference, don't you see? $5,000 plus $2,000, $7,000. Well, his mother had come to our house one day, and I had something to notarize, and she just came in and had it all filled out, and all she did was sign her name and stamp it. And I tried to pay her, and she wouldn't let me pay her. Well, after I had done the tax return, she was angry with me that I charged him $300 for his tax return. Now, I worked a long time on that, and I got him a lot of money back. She didn't consider that. And she went on and on. I should have given him that tax return. So I said, all right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to forgive what he owes me, and he don't have to pay me. In addition to that, I'm going to send his tax return in. He's going to get that $5,000. So that wasn't enough for him. So I drive by her house every day, leaving to go to my office and coming back from my office every day, at least twice a day. And she would just glare at me. She'd be sitting out on the porch with her husband. And I went, that woman is so angry. So I started praying. I said, Lord, what can I do to appease her wrath? He said, fix her a box of salted pecans. I said, okay. So I was going to make a peace offering. So one day I'm driving to my office, and I pulled in her driveway. I had it in a box, and I had it wrapped with ribbon around it. And her husband was on the porch, and I said, is your wife home? And he looked at me kind of funny with that present. He said, yes, she's inside. So I knocked on the door, and she came to the door, and I said, look, whatever the case may be, I just am offering a peace offering here today, and I've got a present for you. She says, no, you don't need to do that. And I said, yeah, I need to make a peace offering. You're my neighbor, and I see you glaring at me every day, and let's just be nice to one another, and let me start this. So she reluctantly accepted it. She didn't know what was in it. Well, a little bit later, I found out that her favorite snack was salted pecans. Now, the Lord told me correctly, right? And that really appeased her that I picked such a gift to give her. Well, the next time that I saw her, I was driving by her house, and instead of glaring at me, she waves. I said, oh, okay, the peace offering worked. So I was real happy about that. So as I look back on that, I may not do the same thing again. It all depends. But what would you do? See, I did some work, and I did my job and did my due diligence, and I got that boy a lot of money, and nobody else could do that. So I'm thinking I'm worth my pay, and I thought I was, but for her case, and her son's case, I forgave the debt. Not only that, I gave her a box of pecans. It's kind of like somebody sues you for your coat, give them your cloak also. You know, that's a hard thing to do, I'll be honest with you. But what would you do? Would you have forgiven that bill that you just got through doing a bunch of work? Would you give her a peace offering, her favorite in all the world? I don't know. Give me some comments on that, because school's still out, and like I said, I might not do it the same next time, but that particular time, it just seemed to be appropriate for that, because they raised such a ruckus, because I charged that young man, his first work that he'd ever done, so much money. And actually, I thought it was not very much money, and he got a real good deal, in my opinion, but she saw it different. He didn't know any better. He was happy to get the money. So once again, I come back to you. Give me your comments on this, because there's some things that Jesus says in the Bible that are really hard to do. And maybe you would do it, maybe you won't, but I want to hear from you. God bless you guys, and go in peace. Love you. Bye.